Prince of Shadow by LaBate. Narrated by Tommo. Chapter 2. A Day with the King's Blade. So, you had the perfect moment to tell her how you felt, and you didn't, Ezra asked his friend as they walked to school the next morning. The two had a tradition of walking together since they were in high school. They would meet up at a gas station and walk to the school that was close by. Instead of their normal talk, video games, movies, music, etc., Richard was getting interrogated by Ezra. Yeah, it was just the two of us on the balcony. I had the perfect moment to tell her and I fucked it up. Richard sighed, admitting defeat to his friend. But on the bright side, Liz and the others are coming back today. Oh yeah, you've only told me about 50 million times. Ezra shot his friend a look, a grin on his face. The young prince sighed again, and Ezra chuckled. Dude, just stop stressing out over this. We'll meet them at the bar after school, he told him, adjusting his backpack. Yeah, you're right. Richard shifted his own backpack and grinned at his friend. There's nothing to be worried about. Good, because now you do have something to worry about, Ezra casually mentioned. Richard's eyes went wide as he slowly turned to look at his friend. All the girls in the school are going to be giving you presents. I've seen the way Diane looks at you. Oh shit, I completely forgot about her, Richard groaned. Damn it. The two suddenly stopped when a black car pulled up next to them. The window rolled down and Liz stuck her head out, her blonde hair sitting just above her shoulders, and her hazel eyes bore ferocity and kindness. She was wearing a leather jacket, black jeans, boots, and a white t-shirt underneath. Get in the car, something's come up. What do you mean, Liz? Richard asked. Dick, just get your ass in the car, she said, looking at Ezra. You too, I'll explain on the way. We need to get Sarah, so hurry up. Liz, what the hell's going on? Richard asked as the two of them got into the back seat. They closed the doors and the car zoomed off, dodging and weaving its way through traffic towards the school. Christ, Liz! Are you trying to get us killed? Right now you have a lot more to worry about than my driving, Your Highness, Liz told him. She jerked the wheel to the right, drifting the car into the next road and resuming her speed. Beth got word that there might be an attempt on a member of the royal family's life. What? Ezra and Richard exclaimed at once. Don't worry, Your Highness, Liz said, her voice calm and steady. Arofni and Aaron are with your parents right now. Beth and Cassandra are with your brother. I was told to come and get you and Ezra while Grayson went to secure a path out should we need one. If this is true, we can't risk losing any of you. Yeah, but at the same time we could lay a trap, Richard mentioned, jerking to the left as she turned harshly. Keep up this driving and I might think you're the one trying to kill me. Yet I'm still the better driver out of the Blades. She smirked at them in the rearview mirror. The two in the back looked at each other and shrugged, both silently admitting that she was an excellent driver. Where the hell is this school? I called Sarah and told her to meet us there before I got you two. You're still about a 20-minute drive out, Ezra told her. I mean, we put our classes in the afternoon for a reason, so we could walk there. Remind me to buy both of you motorcycles or something, Liz said, jerking the wheel again. Why do you two insist on walking? Just take a cab or have someone drive you. You're the fucking prince. Because I value staying in shape, Richard told her, to which she quickly gave him the middle finger. So all of a sudden it's my fault for deciding to walk to school. Yes, it definitely is, Liz exclaimed, dodging a car that was going too slow. Because instead of driving to school like a normal human being, you decide to walk the 10 miles. The two in the back seat slammed into each other as she took a corner sharply. So yes, this is all your fault! She sighed in annoyance before using the car's Bluetooth to call a fellow King's Blade. Fuck it, I'm calling Grayson. The phone started ringing, and soon he answered. Liz! Where the hell are you? Arofni's hounding my ass to make sure you're all at the tower. I just got here myself. She heard something in the background that had her worried since it sounded like a gunshot, but was quickly brought back to a different situation when an explosion occurred near them. Was that an explosion? Was that a gunshot? Liz asked back, inwardly begging the car to go faster. Touché, Grayson chuckled before more gunshots were heard in the background. You handle your end, I'll handle mine. Get Sarah and hide. We'll regroup and figure out a battle plan from there. He hung up and Liz opened up the middle console, revealing two pistols. Handing one to Richard and the other to Ezra, she went back to driving. I have a feeling this is going to be a long day, Liz muttered to herself as they approached the school. She parked the car and they got out, stopping them before they made any movements. The odds of this becoming a shit show is huge. Stay with me and we'll be fine. Our goal is to get Sarah and get out of here. You two understand? They both nodded. Good. Welcome to the King's Blade. They walked onto the school grounds, guns hidden, and began their search for Sarah. Liz was in King's Blade mode, as Ezra liked to call it, which meant she was more cautious than usual. Anyone they didn't recognize or any small movement that drew her attention, and she wouldn't be afraid to draw her weapon. Inwardly, she felt bad for the prince that the day after his 22nd birthday he's already dealing with a death threat. Dick! She snapped her head to see Sarah running towards them, someone appearing to be hot on her heels. Liz drew her gun from inside her jacket and aimed it at the person behind Sarah. They stopped moving and put their hands up in the air. Sarah flung herself into Richard's arms, who held onto her for dear life. Ezra, cover! Liz yelled as she slowly approached the man, whose arms were still raised. On the ground and hands on your head! He did what he was told, and Liz stopped 10 feet away from him. Richard and Sarah were behind her, with Ezra bringing up the rear. Why were you chasing after Sarah? They told me they would pay me a lot of money to bring her to them, the man stuttered, tripping over his own words. I'm sorry, but I need the money to get out of my debts. The only place you'll be going is hell. Liz rapidly walked forward and kicked the side of the man's head, knocking him out. Back to the car, now! They did a 180 and started the walk back to their parking spot. Liz could hear the murmurs of the crowd as they passed by, wondering what all the explosions were. Liz, what's going on? Aaron yelled into the King's Blade earpiece. She could hear the shootout that was taking place at their location. We got the package, making our way to extraction. He'd get the code, especially the location of where they were all to meet. What's going on near you? Somehow a bunch of protesters got access to fully automatic weapons, he told her. Grayson, get down! A rocket explosion was heard in the background and fear gripped her heart, but she couldn't show it. Not right now. Liz, get them out of there and we'll meet up at the extraction. We aren't letting these bastards get out of here alive. Dick, Liz said, getting the prince's attention. Stay vigilant and pay attention. Consider this part of your extended training. So, not gonna lie, Richard chuckled in an attempt to stay calm. This is the most fucked up training session yet. Get down! Ezra yelled. He tackled Richard to the ground while Liz grabbed Sarah and turned them, her back facing the direction of the car as it blew up. Are you guys alright? He asked, helping the prince stand. Bullets started to fly past them, fear climbing into their hearts. Get them hidden! Liz yelled to Ezra, turning and firing at the protesters shooting at them. She dove behind a half wall, using it as cover to see Ezra get them all inside a building. Never before have I been glad that they can't aim. Liz, what do you want us to do? She heard Richard ask over the King's Blade earpiece. She turned to look at him and he flashed her a thumbs up. Nick and I managed to hack into the radio frequency. What's the plan? Stay where you are and help me take these guys out, she said, crouching and firing at the shooters blindly from behind the wall. You mean kill someone? It's either your ass or theirs, so man the fuck up and do your job. Yes, ma'am, Richard and Ezra said in unison. I'm only a year older than you, she yelled, peeking over the wall and firing 2 shots. The first shot bounced off a car, while the second one hit a protester in the arm. Fuck, this is why I hate using guns! You could use your knives, Richard mentioned, but you can't get close enough to put teleport rune. Oh, you have no idea, Liz told him. But I left my knives with a uniform in the safe house. Wait, you guys have a way of doing it faster now? Ezra asked, ducking back behind the doorway. Beth found out that we can put a rune on our weapons and throw them. We're still practicing it, she answered, shooting another protester. Grayson's the only one who's been able to fully master it. I'm second best, but it has limited range and takes up a good chunk of our mana supply. We try not to use it as much. 2 more protesters fell to their shots. Ezra, give me one of your knives, Richard told his friend. He summoned the green and red bladed dagger and handed it to Richard. Hey Liz! Heads up! He yelled in her direction, throwing the dagger close to her. The blade stuck into the dirt near her, and a grin broke across her face. Do your thing! You guys are getting better at improvising, she chuckled, grabbing the knife and pulling out a marker to draw the teleport rune. Really hope this works, she muttered, finishing the drawing. Taking a deep breath, she stood up and threw the dagger. She counted down from 5, before saying the words to teleport to the dagger. Sup, assholes, she said, grabbing the dagger and shoving it into a protester's leg. The rifle was dropped and her hand quickly found it, pulling the trigger and allowing the recoil to continue the gun's movement to kill the remaining protesters. She let go and pulled the dagger out, throwing it at the last protester where it landed in his chest. Nice work, Richard told her when they caught up to her. She pulled the dagger out of the protester's chest and handed it back to Ezra. What's the plan now? Our car, along with all our school supplies, got blown to hell. What's going on? Sarah asked, worry written all over her face. Why are people trying to kill Dick? Someone armed the protesters with fully automatic weapons. She crouched down next to her body and picked up the radio. I was tasked with picking you up and getting all three of you to the safe house. The rest of the Kingsblade are with Dick's family, currently engaged in a firefight. Except we need a new car, she sighed, taking in her surroundings. I have a plan, but I don't think any of us are going to like it. Let me guess, we take their car? Ezra asked, pointing to the black SUV that was currently parked nearby where they were. 10 points to House Ezra, Liz said, walking towards the car. I'll hotwire it, you guys just watch my back. Wait, what if we just went back to the tower? Sarah asked, Liz looking up from the wiring to stare at her through the passenger side window. Hear me out, she added. If we went back to the tower, we could regroup with the rest and try to assemble the Royal Army. They'll have to help. Knowing Dad, he's already done that though. He looked at Ezra. Unless they cut communications out of the tower, they finished together. We can restore communications, then call in the Royal Army. Unless they cut comms throughout the entire city, Liz mentioned as the car roared to life. But it's worth a shot, she said, climbing into the driver's seat. But first we'll head to the safe house and tell Arofni of our plan. I can only assume that the majority of the protesters are currently engaged to the tower, which why would the Royal Army not be deployed then? Maybe they were the ones who armed the protesters? Richard mentioned, closing the passenger side door after he got in. Ezra and Sarah climbed into the back and Liz drove off. But I don't understand why they would do that. Because the Taurian Empire has been amassing its army and getting ready to deploy, Liz told them. That's why we were gone for so long. We had to secretly disable their fleet to buy us some time. The entirety of the Royal Army is being deployed to the border. It's up to the King's Blade to protect all of you in the meantime. She came to a stop at the light, suddenly deciding that now would be a good time as any to obey traffic laws. The rest of the drive was spent in silence, everyone armed with a gun looking out the windows for anyone that may pose a threat. Liz opened the garage door and pulled in, closing it afterwards. Sarah went to get out but was stopped when Liz locked the doors. She pulled out her phone and unlocked it, dialing a number immediately after. The floor opened up and the car was lowered into the underground safe house. They came to a stop and the garage returned to its normal state. The doors were unlocked and they all piled out of the car, Richard instantly spotting the doorway into the rest of the safe house. Is the door supposed to be unlocked? Ezra asked, raising his pistol to aim at the door. Liz spun on her heel from talking to Richard and pointed her own gun at the door, Richard joining in afterwards. I'll check it out, Ezra said, slowly walking towards the door. He opened the door and saw that no one was in the lounge on the other side. Lounge is clear, he called out. They moved into the lounge and Liz noticed that everything was exactly like they left it before they left. Someone must have left the door open. We're secure, Liz said, putting her weapon away. Everyone turned to look at her. I remember the way we left the place and this is the same way it was earlier, she said, walking over and sitting on the couch in front of the TV. We were out of here in a hurry, and I remember Aaron walking out of his room and forgetting to close the door as we left the garage. You know, Ezra said, sitting on one of the bar stools near the kitchen counter that was left of the garage door. For being the kingdom's elite soldiers, you guys sure leave the place a mess. He noticed the clothes strewn about everywhere and the dishes weren't washed. Like I said, Ezra, when we got the call to go and disable the entire fleet, we grabbed our shit and left. She stood up and walked into her room, searching for her uniform. However, we did come back here before we left. I'm just glad I remembered to leave my uniform out for easy access. She picked up the black hooded coat off her bed and lifted it up. Though it could go for a wash, I still have blood on it. Sarah was standing in the doorway to Liz's room and noticed that it was clean, organized, and everything had a home. The only thing that had stayed out was her uniform. Carefully, she crossed the threshold, examining the dorm-like room that the Kingsblade each had. She sat on the bed, and Liz could tell the girl wanted to talk. A small grin creeped onto her face and she shut the door with her foot. She took a seat next to the girl and patted her back. All right, Liz said, hearing the two boys talking about how cool the hidden base was. What's on your mind? Sarah gave her a look like she was crazy. I've seen that look before. You forget that I'm only a year older than all of you. Talk. She stood up and started to gather her uniform weapons. Raising an eyebrow at the girl, she sighed, more so in annoyance. Alright, look. She crouched down in front of her and rested her hand on her shoulder. I'm going to assume that you're uncomfortable with the whole killing people thing. Instead, all I'm going to say is that you can stay here. Sarah's eyes found Liz's and she gave her a faint smile. I'm going to need to borrow your boyfriend and his friend. And I'm not trying to sound like an ass when I say this, but he might be able to think better when you're not around. Thank you, she said quietly. Please, look out for them. Liz stood up, giving Sarah a quick smile, and quickly shed her clothes to change into her uniform. Standard issue Kingsblade uniform consisted of an all-black attire so they would have an easier time moving at night. A long-sleeve t-shirt rested underneath a Victorian-style jacket. A hood was attached inside so they could have something to help hide their identities. Fingerless gloves rested on their hands, while flexible pants and black lace-up boots sat on their lower half. Their belts contained a kukri on either side, with a spare earpiece in the back. A black-handled katana rested on their backs, while the final piece was a half-mask they put on. Alright, ladies, Liz said as she lowered her hood and removed her mask. Let's get down to business. She walked over to the other two and noticed them become more serious. We don't know how many protesters are currently at the tower, and the rest of my team is there. Why don't we just go and regroup with them? Ezra suggested. We don't know for sure if they cut out communications across all the kingdom. He turned to look at Liz. Are the Kingsblade on their own separate frequency from the others? Our communications center is hidden beneath the tower. The only way we lose comms is if the entire building was blown up. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. Alright, fuck it. We're going to regroup with Grayson. From there, we can coordinate a plan and figure out just how to beat these guys. If we're lucky, they already beat them for us. She pulled her hood up, then her mask, and looked between the two boys. Let's go. The drive over was quieter than the three of them had expected. With no cars on the road, they were able to arrive at the tower quicker than expected, only to find the entrance gate had been locked. They got out of the car and made their way through the security checkpoint, sticking to the shadows. Liz spotted an enemy walking close to them, and she motioned for the two to stay where they were. She pulled out her kukri, snuck up behind the soldier and kicked his knee out. She covered his mouth and plunged the knife into his heart, twisting it so he bled faster. Richard moved over to her and grabbed the man's rifle, allowing her to drag the body back into the shadows. They found a radio on him, which Ezra grabbed and plugged his earbuds into so he could listen. The other two checked the rest of the body to find anything of use, but they didn't find anything. Ezra soon got their attention, fear in his eyes. They broke through the front door, Ezra told them, keeping his voice calm and steady. What a Kingsblade was trained to do, even though he was yet to join their ranks. They have everyone hostage inside. We're screwed. Don't dwell on that, Liz said, her voice wavering ever so slightly. Instead, we're going to pick off the stragglers, make our way inside, and free them. We aren't going to let these assholes ruin our kingdom, alright? I may not be the leader of the Kingsblade, but I'm the best fighter for a reason. If we split up, we could take more of them out in a quicker fashion, Richard suggested. I'm not going to give them the opportunity to kill the prince, Liz told him, her eyes stern. So instead, we're going to quietly make our way in. I assume you two know all the secret entrances into the tower? Yeah, why? Ezra responded. I want you two to get in through one of those, she said, cleaning her kukri and looking at it. I'm going to make my way in through the front door, so wait for my signal before attacking. Ezra went to talk but was quickly cut off by Liz. You'll know it when you see it. She looked at Richard, who was holding the rifle. Don't use that until my signal. It's not suppressed, so it's going to be loud as hell. She quickly looked between the two, a smile appearing beneath her mask. Be careful, you two. She moved off into one direction while Richard and Ezra moved off into another, both teams hoping they could solve this mess quickly.